Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you to the Wilson Center and to Robin and to Ambassador Sparber for hosting us for this exciting discussion. And I do mean it when I say exciting. This agenda brings together three priorities for the U.S. government: the green economy, nature crimes, and fighting corruption. This administration has made its prioritization of each of these issues clear through historic investment in clean energy and the green transition, steps to prevent and respond to nature crimes, and through the release of the first ever U.S. strategy on countering corruption. All of these issues are also linked in practice. For example, the conventional power and mining sectors have been vulnerable to bribery, rent-seeking, and embezzlement and other corrupt behaviors for many, many years. Similar challenges do and will exist as we become more reliant on the critical minerals that fuel the clean energy future. Corruption also facilitates and exacerbates nature crimes that harm ecosystems in local communities, hamper development, and pose significant long-term consequences for future generations, often with a disproportionate impact on those who are most vulnerable. So we're keenly aware of the deleterious effects of corruption in both the scourge of environmental degradation and the promise of a greener tomorrow. And I'm very pleased that we're here together to talk about solutions today. First, in order to get the green transition right, both the public and private sector must proceed with transparency and with integrity. It'll be critical for our governance future and for our environmental future. The United States is rising to meet this moment. We're prioritizing the need for anti-corruption elements in the green transition at all levels of the supply and use chain. We continue to provide robust funding for EITI, the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, and related implementation in countries around the world. In June 2022, the United States, with 11 partners, launched the Minerals Security Partnership to diversify responsible critical mineral supply chains, maintain high environmental, social, and governance standards, and bring economic benefits to local communities. And just last year, our colleagues at USAID launched the Powering a Just Energy Transition Green Minerals Challenge in partnership with Amazon, BHP Foundation, and Chandler Foundation to catalyze innovations to counter corruption and strengthen transparency, accountability, and integrity in the global rush to meet demand for green minerals. In the coming weeks, you'll hear more about some of the promising solutions that have resulted from this work and which will receive grant funding and targeted technical assistance. Second, we're seeking to end the impunity that supports and facilitates nature crimes. Last month, the United States, in partnership with the government of Norway and the World Resource Institute, launched the Nature Crime Alliance, a global multi-sector network to raise political will, mobilize financial commitments, and bolster operational capacity to prevent and combat nature crimes. This builds on existing efforts at the State Department, where we're supporting work that advances legal, institutional, and policy changes that reduce vulnerability to corruption and increase accountability in government institutions responsible for interdicting, investigating, and prosecuting wildlife and timber trafficking cases. As part of that, last October, the United States designated 3 current and former public officials from the Democratic Republic of the Congo under Section 7031C due to significant corruption that facilitated the trafficking of chimpanzees, gorillas, okapi, and other protected wildlife from the DRC, primarily to the People's Republic of China, using falsified permits in return for bribes. The DRC has now opened criminal investigations into the 3 officials, and we continue to work with the Africa Wildlife Foundation to conduct trainings for DRC officials and prosecutors to improve the quality of nature crimes investigations. And this work is also ongoing with other investigations that are ongoing. My colleagues in USAID have also undertaken projects such as the Targeting Natural Resource Corruption Program to strengthen anti-corruption policy and practice in conservation and natural resource management. And you'll hear later this morning how the Department of the Treasury also uses a range of preventative, diagnostic, and pressure tools to address illicit finance linked to nature crime. We're also bringing attention to these matters on the global stage, not least through important events such as this one. As many of you know, and as actually the ambassador just mentioned, the United States is preparing to host the 10th session of the Conference of States Parties, or COSP, for the UN Convention Against Corruption this December in Atlanta. The COSP is the premier multilateral forum to bring governments together to address corruption issues and to build consensus on emerging themes and challenges. We will also host several events around the COSP to ensure civil society, academia, Young changemakers and the private sector have ample opportunities to share their perspectives and to learn from one another. This December will mark the 20th anniversary of the convention, so it will be a meaningful time to reflect on progress we've made in the fight against corruption over the past 2 decades, and a chance to take stock of the challenges facing us as we look ahead. Foremost among these is how we can renew and focus our efforts to leverage the international anti-corruption architecture to prevent and address green corruption and nature crimes. I anticipate that there will be several specific events and discussions focused on these topics in Atlanta, and more information and details will be forthcoming soon. I appreciate the opportunity to help kick off the discussions here today, and I do have to apologize that I need to depart shortly to head up to the UN General Assembly meetings, but the U.S. commitment to working closely with friends and partners around the world to address this challenge will absolutely remain. Thank you very much.